I contend that if you're reaching out to the right person with the right message at the right time, you don't need anything more than 50 dials a day. Okay, if you're doing 50 dials a day and you're not hitting your numbers, it's because you're not delivering the right message to the right person and not the right time. Okay, and what it comes down to, folks, it's very, very simple. It's very, very straightforward. Okay, once you know who to reach out to, that's major, folks. Okay, saying the right thing is important, of course, and then, guys, 90% of the time, I don't get the listing on the first meeting. 90% of my listings come from the follow-up. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, guys, okay? Because if Ricardo's doing 250 and Johnny's doing 100 to 130 and Louis doing 300 plus and Mikhail's doing, let's say, 30 a week, right? Okay? Chances are they're not getting the meeting on the first try. You know what they're going to have to do? If at first you don't succeed, how's that statement, guys, go? Try again, okay? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let me go ahead and pull open today's presentation. Let's make sure I got it, and we'll get rocking and rolling, all right? If you ever wondered, how often do I call somebody? How much is too much? How much is not enough? If they tell me this, what do I do? If they tell me that, what do I do? What? We're going to explain it all in tonight's presentation, okay? So, in fact, let's say before we get into the presentation, let's see what you guys say. Okay, for those of you that are making your dials, all right? How often do you call back? If someone says, call me back in 2 months, when do you call them back? Type it in the chat. You get on the phone. This is interesting, guys, because this is tactical, practical stuff, okay? If someone says, call me back in 2 months, right? Johnny says 3 weeks. Ricardo says a month. Okay, good. All right. All right. If someone says, yeah, thank you, but no thank you, I got to talk to my partner. How often do you call them back after a listing appointment? Type it in the chat. Let's say you have a listing appointment today, and he says, oh, thank you so much. I got to talk to my wife, my dog, my goldfish, my German Shepherd, my partner, my niece, my whatever, okay? Yep. Louis says, in 2 months, just like they asked. Louis, I'm going to educate you tonight, buddy. I got you, pal, okay? Philip says in 1 to 2 weeks. But what if they say to Philip, didn't I tell you to call me back in 2 months, right? Okay, so there's a lot of questions, right? So as you can see, 5 people answered. You got 5 different answers. I asked 5 different people, and I said, if someone says call me back in 2 months, one says I'll call them back in 2 months, just like they asked. One says 1 to 2 weeks. One says a month. One says 3 weeks, right? You get the point, guys? So there is no perfect answer, but there's some pretty good guidelines, and it's what over 35,000 cold calls. It's what I figured out along the way. All right, so I'm going to share with you what has worked for me, and more importantly, guys, not just what works, but why it works. Okay, is that cool, guys? So let's get rocking. All right, folks, we call our follow-up method, okay, persistence prospecting, and the reason being, guys, okay, persistence hunting. All right, is the reason why humans, right, are the top of the food chain. Because it's a hunting technique which hunters who may be slower than their prey over shorter distances use a combination of running, walking, and tracking to keep pursuing their prey over prolonged time and distance until it is exhausted by fatigue or overheating. The persistence hunter must be able to run a long distance over an extended period of time. The strategy is used by a variety of canids, like dogs, African wild dogs, as well as human hunter-gatherers. Guys, when I read this, I was like, ding, 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 ding. Oh my God, that's what we're doing, okay? Because how many of you, type a me in the chat, if you've ever seen that chart that says the average salesperson makes, like 30% of people are they are only make 1 attempt, and 40% of people make 2 attempts, and 50% of people do 3 to 5 attempts. And like basically 10% of salespeople, right, make 8 or more attempts. How many of you guys have seen that? Am I the only one? Louis has seen it, okay? All right, it's very, very common infographic, right? And the point is, you don't have to fight off 100% of the market. You really have to duke it out. Please make sure you are muted as you're hopping on. Thank you. So you don't have to duke it out with 100% of the market, okay? You know who you have to duke it out with? About maybe 10% of the market. Guys, type 10% in the market. 10% in the chat if you know that you can duke it out with 10% of the market. You don't have to go head to head with everybody. Type 10% in there. Ricardo's with me. Who else? Is he the only one? Okay, Johnny's with me. Louis with me. All right, now we're talking. Now we're talking, folks. Okay, so the point I want everyone to understand is this. It's very, very simple. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the brightest. You just have to be the most persistent. Guys, how many of you, type the word bone in the chat if you want to be like a dog with a bone so you can get every listing that everybody else lets slip through their fingers. Type bone in the chat, right? That's what we want. Have you ever seen a dog with a bone? They will gnaw and gnaw and gnaw and gnaw on that thing until they get to the marrow. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. And just similarly, that's what we do. We exhaust everybody. Any agent that we're going head to head with, guess what? We're going to exhaust them, and we're just going to follow up and follow up and follow up and follow up. And sooner or later, the person's going to be like, wow, this person is really consistent, you know? So how do we do this? All right. Before a meeting, persistence prospecting goes like this. Ah, there we go. Tony's got the got the emoji. I love it. Before a meeting, guys, all right, this is what you're going to do. 3 times a week until you get the meeting. Now, a lot of you are probably going to say, oh my God, that's a lot. What if they curse me out? What if they this? What if they that, folks? Do me a favor, everybody, put your cameras on real quick and hold your cell phones up, okay? Hold your cell phones up. Come on, let me see it. Johnny, Philip, Jasmine, Ricardo, all right? Thank you, okay? Guess what every cell phone in America has, folks? It has caller ID. So if you're calling someone and they don't want to talk to you, are they going to pick it up and curse you out? Or are they going to say, send a voice message, okay? People don't curse you out nearly as much as you think, okay? Every once in a while, you get somebody who's grumpy pants and you caught them in the middle of their day. Don't forget, guys, we are literally interrupting people in the flow of their day. They might be just dropping their kids off at work. They might have just stepped in dog poop. Who knows? All we know is, guys, if someone takes it out on you, don't take it personally because they don't know you. They're just rejecting a phone call that's interrupting their day. Make sense, guys? Okay. So 3 times a week until you get the meeting, okay, in month 1, okay? After 4 weeks, okay, then it's okay to drop it down to twice a week, all right? Then after 4 weeks, okay, in between 4 and 8 weeks, okay, you're going to do 2 times a week. And then after 8 weeks, you're going to do 1 time a week. Okay, and then after 8 weeks, okay, after 12 weeks, it's 1 time per month. I want you to think about what this is about, guys, okay? Let's count it up. 3 times a week in month 1, that's 12. Twice a week in month 2, that's another 8. So we're at 20, okay? For the next 4 weeks, you're doing 1, so that you're at 24, okay? And then then each month that follows, you're following up once a month. Guys, in the first 90 days, you're calling them 24 times. Do you think anyone else on planet Earth is doing that? The answer is a resounding hell no, right? Okay? So I want you guys to understand, they're going to see you, and they're going to see you, and they're going to see you, and they're going to see you. And guess what? You're going to piss some people off. Period. End of story. But you're also going to impress a lot of people with your persistence. And remember this, folks. Those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind. The person that wants an aggressive agent, they're going to be like, oh my God, they're annoying, but damn. I've had some of my students literally get a listing, and the lady said to them, I'll never forget, I'm not giving you this listing because I like you. In fact, I think you're a little off-putting. I'm giving you this listing because I know how persistent you're going to be. All right, guys? That's the image. Because don't forget, every single time that phone rings, they're going to be like, that's that damn agent again. There's that damn agent again. They're going to say that 24 times in 90 days, okay? So, very, very important to understand. And then you can go down to once a month because you know what? You've already made your point. And then you're just going to ping them. You're just going to throw pennies at their window, so to speak. Does that make sense, everybody? Type a 1 in the chat if this makes sense, okay? Because all you're trying to do, you don't have to be the best in the world. You just have to slug it out with the top 10% of agents. And I guarantee you, nobody's doing this, okay? So, oh, look at this. Look at this infographic, guys. Remember I told you that one that everyone has seen? 48% of salespeople will never follow up with a prospect. 25% of salespeople will make a second contact and stop. So guys, 48%, so half, never follow up. Okay, in fact, the numbers I was throwing out before were actually a little high. 25% will make a second contact and stop. So guys, guess what? That right there is 73% will only make one follow-up. 12% will only make 3, okay? So what is that? That's 85% of people will stop at 3 contacts total. 10% of salespeople will make more than 3. 2% will make it on the first contact. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. 3% are made on the second contact. 5% are made on the third contact. 10% are made on the fourth contact. And 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. Are you now connecting the dots, guys, as to why persistence prospecting works? Okay. Only 2% of the time you're going to get the business on the first contact or the first meeting, right? I would say maybe at most I got 5% of my listings on the first meeting. Everything else, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. This is how the business is won. And it doesn't, either way, guys, you got to pick up the phone and make 50 dials a day. Might as well follow up with the people you're going to. Does that make sense? You guys can all of you guys do that? Pick up the phone and dial for an hour. Is your family important? Are your goals important enough for you to dial for 1 hour a day? You know, the average American spends 4 hours a day on the phone. Tony's with me. Olga's with me. Yeah. Makes sense. Good. I'm glad you guys understand this. Okay, sweet. So what's up next, guys? All right. Now, here's the thing. There's a difference in answers. Whoopsie, what happened to my camera? There we go. There's a difference in answers, folks, okay? If someone says, yeah, call me back in 2 months, that's one kind of answer, okay? But if they said, oh, my daughter's getting married the second week of December, give me a call on the 14th. Guys, which one sounds a lot more realistic, okay? Which one sounds like, oh, there's a logical reason or some sort of logistical, objection that you're dealing with, okay? Very, very important. Season, time frame, event. Think of it. Oh, my daughter's getting married. Oh, I'm traveling. I'll be away in Europe. Oh, we're not, for the snowbirds, right? Oh, we're in Ohio. We're not going to be in Florida or Georgia or wherever until after Christmas, whatever that looks like, okay? Oh, my grandkids are graduating high school. We're going to be out in Cleveland, but we'll be back the week after blah, 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 3rd week of July, okay? With me, guys? Whatever they say, okay, remember how I asked you guys, how if someone tells you 2 months, okay, this is the magic answer right here. Don't call them back in a week. Certainly don't call them in 2 months. Call them back in 75% of the time. Here's why. When someone tells you to call them back in 2 months, you know what they're saying? Without saying it, I'm planning on making the decision in 2 months, okay? You do not want to wait until they have made the decision to call them back. You want to be in their face, in their space, in their place, right? Before that. So if they tell you to call them 8 weeks from now, call them 6 weeks from now. This is 6, 7 weeks from now. Well, because guys, I can't tell you, you will lose more business by going and calling the people back when they're ready to make the decision, as opposed to like a week or two before. Does that make sense, guys? Type a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. Okay. I want to see you guys, this is landing, all right? Cool. Because what I want you guys to understand is very, very simple, okay? They are ready to make the decision in 2 months. You need to be in front of them, chit-chatting with them, giving them ideas, talking about pricing, sending them reports, whatever, okay, beforehand. All right, guys? So, after a meeting, now here's the cool thing, guys. After a meeting, you got to follow up with them, okay? Everybody right now, right this second, go into your calendar, and I want you to put 10 a.m. on Friday, and I want you to put a calendar event there. And guess what that is, guys? That is your follow-up time for every meeting you had in the last 30, 60, 90, 180 days, okay? If you've only had a handful of meetings, it shouldn't take you very long, okay? But what you want to do, guys, is you need to be sure that you're following up every Friday. And if you only had a couple of meetings, by 10, 15, 10, 20, you're done, okay? But what you're doing is you're blocking time out of your busy schedule to make sure you follow up with the people. Because remember, the closer people are to making a decision, the more valuable they are. So the person you're calling for the first time is X amount of value. The person that you've already met with already took an hour out of their day for you to meet them, right? You're that much closer to the decision making, that much closer to the money. So the people that are that much closer to the money deserve to be higher priority. Does that make sense, guys? Type in 100% in the chat if you're with me, okay? Let me know if this stuff is landing, guys, because I'm giving you gold right here. This took me years, like tens of thousands of cold calls and hundreds of meetings to figure out. Okay, Ricardo's with me. Cool. All right, so remember, guys, 90-day rule. 9 of all the people that are looking to do business for a service, only 15% will buy in the first 90 days, okay? The remaining 85%, guys, will buy between 90 days and a year and a half. Of all the people that are gonna buy in the next year and a half, 85% will buy after the 90-day mark. So what does that mean, guys? It means that persistence prospecting is what you have to adapt for your business. You have to be willing to do it over and over and over again. Because you know what it is, guys? No one else is doing this stuff. And if you just picked up the phone for an hour or two a day, you wouldn't be able to spend the money that you make. But you have to do it every single day without exception. Make sense, guys? The most productive year, I had a period of time where I tripled my business in a 2-year period. And over an 800-day period, not including Saturdays and Sundays, but over 800 days, I never missed a day of prospecting. Now, some days I was sick, didn't feel real well, only did a handful of calls, 1, 2, 3, 5 calls, right? Call the most important people I need to follow up with, okay? But I never missed a day of prospecting in 800 days. That's why my business got to where it was in a short period of time, okay? If you guys want 3x your business, take this stuff literally, okay? Remember, the remaining people will buy in 90 days to 18 months. So, what's the logical conclusion? Persistence prospecting. You have to do it, guys. If you don't do it, someone else is, and they're taking the business that could have been yours. They're taking their families on vacations. You could be taking yours if you just pick up the phone and dial for 60 to 90 minutes a day. That's all it takes, guys. Okay? It's a short presentation, but you know what it is? It's exactly what you need. Now, you need to go out and make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls and follow up. You now are armed with the information. Now, your job is the 91. Remember 991? Okay, you have the information. I don't need to tell you what to do anymore. Now, the hardest part is going out and doing it. I see Belkis is with me, right? I see a big head nod, right? Guys, you have everything you need to know now, okay? You can't say, I didn't know, I wasn't sure. No, okay? Very, very simple. We'll review it, okay? 3 times a week the first month, twice a week the second month, once a week the third month, once a month every month thereafter. That's 24. 24 is like a magic number in brokerage, right? Why? Because if you want to take 24 listings a year, okay, dial for 60 to 90 minutes a day. Get ready for this? Okay, I'm going to drop some major knowledge on you right this second, okay? If you want to take 24 listings in the next year, here is how you do it. Number 1, book 3 meetings a week. If you don't know how to, we'll get to that in a second, okay? Book 3 meetings a week. Because guess what, guys? That's 6 meetings every 2 weeks. If you have the right listing presentation, 1 out of every 6 people in the beginning will give you a listing. You'll get better over time. Okay? You know what that is? If 1 out of every 6 people gives you a listing, what is that? How many is that a month, guys? That's 2 a month. That's 24 a year. That's 24 listings, guys. How many of you would love nothing more? Type in 24 in the chat. If you'd love nothing more than take 24 listings, that you know if by taking 24 listings over the next year, it would change your business. Guys, it changed mine. It tripled my business, and I was already making over 6 figures, right? I got to the $500,000 mark. This is pre-COVID, right? In 24 months by doing exactly that. 3 meetings a week, okay? Every 6 meetings led to a listing. It's two a month, because some months are going to be slow. Some months or whatever, okay? Yeah, Johnny, a 36 sounds better, but here's the thing I'll challenge you. I'm going to push back on that. I would rather you have 24 quality listings than 36 turds. I have a friend of mine, and he used to have 100 listings, one of my students, right? He used to have 100 listings on the market. I said, buddy, you won't be able to handle the volume unless you got a kick-ass team in place, okay? You only need 24 listings. You can make 7 figures a year with 24 listings a year if you're doing it right. You know why? Because if you have quality and they're priced right, they're gonna sell themselves. Guess what? If you have a good database, guess what? You're gonna get both sides of the listing. You have to sell half as many listings to make the money you want when you're double ending them, right? And my students that are implementing the techniques we give them are double ending like 40% of their listings. You don't need a lot to make a lot. Does that make sense, guys? Type a 1 in the chat if you're with me, okay? Thank you all for being here, guys. Make sure you implement tonight. Tomorrow, what's something you learned tonight? Okay, that's the 991 rule. I want to see it. Next week, we're going to ask you, what did you implement? Okay, I want to see who got meetings. I want to see how people followed up. If you're following up 3 times a week, okay. If you're following up after the meetings every single Friday at 10 a.m. All right, guys, go out, get them. There's so much opportunity out there. It's not even funny. This economy is booming. Go and get yours. Thanks for being here.